Okay guys, back on the lift kit install, 6-inch Superlift on a 2002 2500 HD. Getting the new mount bolted on the front diff here. Last video we just cut off the factory mount. You gotta pull out 4 of these bolts that go in here along the diff. You're just going to bolt this in place of it. It's going to go on there like this. I'm going to bolt it down. Now the instructions say some diffs have in an area you're going to have to grind down to get this to sit flat. So just be aware of that. If you stick it up there and it's not sitting flat, you got to clearance it out. I don't think this one does. I cleaned the grease off all the mounting surfaces that this is going to be touching. So we got good clean contact. I'm going to get it bolted on, show you what it looks like. So there it is guys, installed on the diff there. 4 bolts, torque them to 35 foot-pounds when you're done. And this is ready to go up into the truck, finally. Okay guys, so she's going back together really quick here. First thing I installed was this front drop bracket, and that goes in the lower control arm bolts. Then second thing you're going to want to install is this drop bracket right there for the front diff, passenger side drop bracket. It's got an angle on there. You want the wider part facing forward. Then I brought my axle back up and I installed the first mount there, and then I installed it onto that mount, the drop bracket. Then I brought on the rear drop bracket crossover. Again, that bolts into the factory lower control arm bolts. Now this is where your bump stop's going to go right there. And once that was up in there, I bolted the rear diff mount up. I haven't tightened anything at this point, guys. And then I put my bolts in the crossover right there. And then you need to get your skid plate in. So you got to support your diff. You got to take that bolt out right there and then slide your skid plate in. It goes on the same mount as that front diff. And then you got 2 bolts right there that secure it to the rear cross member or drop bracket, whatever you want to call it. So once you get everything in there, nothing's tightened down. You want to start with your bigger bolts. You torque them first, then you go down to the next size. And then finally the smaller bolts get torqued down. So I've got everything torqued down here. Everything's bolted up nice and tight. So I'm ready to move on. I think the next step is to hook up your vent. They send an extension for that. Then you're going to want to plug in your diff to the your plug in there. And then I'm going to have to read what's next. But like I said, everything's going back fairly quickly now. And all the parts are fitting really good. I haven't had any trouble really. Everything's going together good. So I'm happy about that. I'm going to keep on rolling. Okay, so after you get everything torqued, your next step would be to install the front drive shaft. Now on a diesel pickup where they have 1 pipe on the passenger side coming out, gas is different. You got 2 pipes on each side coming down, and you're going to have to modify the exhaust. Probably going to do that at the end. It says you can run without the drive shaft to get to an exhaust shop. But you can see It's gonna have to be brought down. I got an idea to do that, and then I'll show you guys what I do with that exhaust. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna do everything. We're gonna do the exhaust last. Okay guys, now on to upper and lower control arms. I got a set of new control arms here with Moog ball joints. Also got a set of new cam bolts. So everything's fresh. Should be a easy alignment with all these new parts. The cam bolts are AC Delco. So we got some good quality parts here. Put some anti-seize in my mounts so the bolts don't seize up. I can't see myself ever probably taking this apart again with all these new parts, but if I ever do, it's good to have some anti-seize in there. Gonna make the job a lot easier. So that's the upper control arms. I'm gonna get them mounted up. You just set them in there, put your cam bolts on there, and that's pretty much it. So I've got my lower control arms hanging up there. I got my new ball joints in there. I didn't do bushings on these. I think they're okay. But I got both sides on. They're using the factory hardware to mount these up. So these are hanging. The shock bracket will be changed. They got a new one. So ready to get them upper control arms installed, and we'll be ready to move on. Okay, so I got the upper control arms installed, and you're gonna need a rubber hammer to help you knock them in there. But some people are probably wondering about these cam bolts, and how they work is, you see they got a slot in them, and there's a pin on the frame, and when you turn these, you can see that the upper control arm goes in and out. Okay, it goes in and out, and this happens on both sides. So that's how they adjust your car when you do an alignment. They're adjusting this, and then they're adjusting your tie rod ends to get your alignment where it needs to be. But that's a cam bolt on a GM truck. Okay guys, so I'm going to install the knuckles now. I'm going a little out of sequence of what the instructions are, but I think it's going to work out better the way I'm doing it. I wanted to give you a comparison here of the difference between the new knuckles and the old knuckles. And you can see this new one is just massive. This is where you're getting your lift. I call it drop. I mean, it's dropping the suspension down and giving you the lift. When I say drop, I don't mean this is a lowering kit. But time to get this baby on there. Also installing the new shock bracket on the lower control arm right now because I have easy access. I don't know why you would wait till it was difficult to get to the bolts. Using the factory hardware. There it is installed. It's a little wider bracket, I think. Okay, knuckles are bolted on. Upper ball joints 37 foot-pounds. Lower one I believe was 94 foot-pounds. And then don't forget your cotter pin in there. And then when you're trying to line that up, guys, over torque the bolt to line the cotter pin up. Don't ever back it off. But got both sides in. Those things are massive. Those are massive knuckles. Gonna keep going, guys. Okay, so I'm getting ready to install my wheel bearings. And you can see there's a groove in the factory knuckles there. I just pulled out this little O-ring thing. It's like a seal, I guess, or something. Must help seal the back side of the wheel bearing. The Superlift instructions say nothing about taking this off and transferring it over. But you can see there's a groove in there just like the factory one. So I'm just going to assume that you're supposed to do this. So I'm going to put that in there and install it that way. Use the old one here. Again, the instructions say nothing about that. Another thing the instructions say nothing about is the steering, hooking the steering back up. Now I'm almost positive that you got to hook the steering up from the top side. From the factory they go in from the bottom. But it looks to me like the taper happens at the top of this deal. So I'm guessing I got to hook them up from the top now. So I just got it rotated there. And I guess that's what I'm going to do. Again, the instructions say nothing about that. So that's what I'm going to do, I guess, with these two issues. Okay guys, so I got my wheel bearings installed. And what you're going to do is the wheel speed sensor is usually on top. You're going to rotate it so the wheel speed sensor or ABS sensor is going off to the side. There's a deal back here, you can secure it. And it's going to run apparently up here. And instead of going around that way, it's just going to come straight up right here. And we're going to plug it in there, I guess. Also got my axle in. Got the nut tightened down. Got the spacer on here. And it's bolted on, I'll show you that. I'll show you the bolts in a second here. But with the truck at full droop, the axle was binding really bad. So I had to put a little block of wood up in here. So I guess I'll have to watch out that I don't adjust this thing too high because the axles are going to bind. Okay guys, so here's the spacers that go on the axles. And you got new bolts, new longer bolts to be able to go through the spacer and the axle. So it's pretty simple. Okay guys, so on the other side it was pretty difficult to get this axle lined up here with the spacer on there. But after learning that my axle was binding up because it was dropped down so far, I got a little block of wood underneath here now, so it should be a lot easier to get this lined up. Okay guys, so you can see got my rotors on, calipers on. I've got my brake line bolted back onto the caliper. Oh, I've got it run back here, bolted onto the factory spot there. ABS line is run there. It's secured back here with a little clamp, and it goes up here. I guess I gotta secure it somehow right there. I don't really want it flopping around like that. I'll use some zip ties or something. I got my shock installed. Factory hardware down here, and they give you new hardware for up there. Got my steering end links hooked up and bolted on. So really all I'm lacking here is the sway bar for the front and then the end links. And right now I'm waiting for a new bushing or new bushings for that sway bar. So hopefully tomorrow they'll be here. But that's pretty much it for the assembly on the front. The front's all assembled. I got the other side done too. Now I got to move on to the torsion bars. And there's a torsion bar drop bracket that I got to install towards the back here. Okay, so I'm getting ready to install my sway bar. Got some new Moog parts. Just got my bushings today. I've been waiting on them. I had the end links, I had them in stock. This is the best stuff Moog sells. So I've got the old one here. Now some of you might be wondering, why am I replacing so many parts right now? When you lift a truck and put bigger tires on, you're putting a lot more stress on your suspension and your steering. So if you have worn out parts, it's just going to feel even worse with a lift and bigger tires. So I'm trying to take care of my worn out parts, basically so I have a good driving truck. I don't want a truck that's sloppy or drives terrible. So okay, these bushings just slide off. You can see you can open them up like that. The new ones do not just open up just like this. They are much stiffer. Okay, so before you can install the sway bar, you got to install these sway bar drop brackets. I kind of wish they would have went with extended sway bar end links instead of the drop brackets, but maybe there's a reason why they want the sway bar drop down. But anyway, you got to install these. I'm going to install them and then I'll show you how they go. So there she be, guys, installed. You can see the angle of that drop down bracket angles forward. It has to do that. You can see it so it misses the frame of the truck. You really can't screw them up. But I got my new bushing in there. Got my new end links on. I got them tight, but according to the instructions, you gotta let the vehicle down at ride height and then fully tighten them. So I'm not exactly sure where we're gonna be at ride height. So I gotta get my tires on, then we'll adjust that. But there's this side. You use your factory hardware up there. I would recommend going and getting new bolts. I would have done that, but it's too late right now. Nothing's gonna be open. But they send new hardware for the sway bar there, and then that's just a factory end link. So again, I got it tight, but I'll have to wait to get it in. For putting the sway bar in there, the sway bar can slide kind of back and forth here, right and left. So what I did was I measured and I got it even on both sides. I did that before I tightened these bolts up right here, and I just kind of measured it, make sure it was even on each side. So hopefully that's the way she goes. I know it comes close when I turn the wheel. When you turn in the wheel that way and this goes over there, it gets pretty close to that sway bar, but I think factory location, the steering went underneath that sway bar. So kind of odd that they chose to do a drop down bracket, but instead of just an extended sway bar end link, but whatever here, I guess it works. So that pretty much does it for the front, guys. I got to get my torsion bars installed. That's what we're going to be doing next. Okay guys, so now we're going to install the drop bracket on the frame. This drops the torsion bar cross member, drops it down so you can be in line with the new lowered position of the lower control arms. So what you do is, there used to be rivets here. Remember when I knocked them out to get the bracket off to be able to get the whole torsion bar assembly out? Well, there used to be rivets here, so this is what you're gonna go by. You line these notches up with the bottom rivets, front and back, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna drill out, there's 3 holes here, and there's 3 holes in the bottom you gotta drill in your frame. You wanna do a 15-30 seconds drill bit. I've got this clamped onto the frame. There's clamps under there, C-clamps. And what I've done is I took the 15 30-second drill bit, and I kind of made a little indentation. I started drilling to center my hole up. I'm going to go with the smaller drill bit first and drill these out smaller. Then I'll go with the bigger 15-30-second. So I'm going to get to drilling here. Okay guys, so I got my 6 holes drilled there. You can see I've cleaned up the frame there. I used my needle scaler and knocked back all the rusty scale there, and also underneath here. And then I also cleaned up inside the frame there. There was a bunch of dirt and stuff, crud. So I've got that all cleaned up, so when I bolt this on, it's not rust underneath it, because eventually I'm going to probably clean up this frame a little bit and spray it with something, but I won't be able to take this off once I get my torsion bars set. So it's cleaned up. I'm going to go drill the other side out. By that time I should be able to bolt this side on, and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so also doing a transfer case fluid change here. Just swapping out some, putting some synthetic in here. ATF. Fluid was dirty, but no chunkiness or no chunks of metal at the bottom there. So transfer case looks good. We got a little bit of a leak on the seal there. Back seal looks like too. Not much of one though. So I'm going to get this refilled, and we'll keep going here. Okay guys, for fluid I'm just using some of this CarQuest full synthetic ATF 4. Why did I go with this? Basically because it's just cheaper and it's full synthetic. I've already spent a ton of money on this truck, guys, so just didn't feel like spending a ton of money on synthetic fluid. So this is what I went with on that. Also I have some fluid for the front axle. It's a Mobile one, full synthetic here, 7590. I'm going to drop the oil out of that and change that oil too while I'm underneath the truck. Okay guys, torsion bars are installed. I actually had to readjust the lift because this arm right here was right where the torsion bar needed to go. So I had to drop it down, put it on jack stands, and move my lift arms back in. You can see there's the drop bracket there, bolted on. And there it is there. It's got a new bushing there installed on the drop bracket, just using the factory bolts. You can see I never took them apart, so this is marked driver's side, the other one's marked passenger side, but I never took the keys out of this cross member. The torsion bars were seized into the keys, and I just never messed with trying to get them out. I don't think I need anything more than the factory keys. I won't need aftermarket keys because I just don't see myself going any higher than what I am now. But this side's bolted on. You can see nice heavy duty bracket. And another thing is you can see my indexing marks. You got to put the torsion bars back the way they came out, guys. You got to make sure you orientate them the right way. Same with if you take the keys out, you got to get them back where they were. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble with adjusting your suspension. So the next thing on the list of stuff to do. Actually, final thing here for the front is I've got to reload the bars. So I got to get my tool out, and we're going to reload these bars. We got to stick the little deal inside that round deal, that round hole or half round hole, and then stick our adjusting bolt in there. Okay, so this is the tool you're going to need to reload and unload your torsion bars on your GM truck. You see it's got a little deal there that goes up onto the cross member and grabs a hold of a notch. This area here is going to grab a hold of a little indentation on the key, and you're going to tighten it up, and you're going to insert your little, I don't even know what that's called, but it's a little sleeve here. This thing here, this is where the adjusting bolt goes. You're going to tighten up the key, which raises it up. Then you're going to stick this in the hole. You can see there's two dimples in this key. Now the one dimple closest to us is for the adjusting bolt. The dimple there that's farther away, that one is for the tool to unload and reload the bars. And there's the top notch. Now that the cross members drop down, it's easier to see. It'll be harder to see if you got a factory positioned cross member, but there's the notch that the tool is going to grab right there. Okay guys, so I've got the tool on the cross member, and I've raised up the key, and you can see now, you can see all the way through that hole. That's where you insert the little deal right there. I guess that would be the adjuster nut, maybe. I don't know what you would call that. And once it's started, you can relieve the pressure and let that key go down. Your final adjustment will come. You can tighten this up, and the bolt's going to come through here, and it's going to push up on that key. What that's going to do is it's going to rotate the key, and your bar is connected to that, your torsion bar is connected to that, and that's going to rotate the bar. So that's all there is, guys, to reloading the bars. I've got both of them. I got the deals back in there. I don't have any tension on the bars yet, though. What I'll probably do is, this one here looks like it's in too far. I might have to hit that bar, knock it back a little more. But I measured the bolt, how long it was sticking out down here. So I'll probably just go back to that measurement to start out with. We'll see what that does. But right now they don't have any tension. I just got them snugged up. So we'll wait until we get ready to drop her on the ground, then we'll load the bars back up. But that's going to do it probably for this video, guys. I'll get this one out to you. It'll be, I guess, part 2. Part 3 will be, I guess, the finish of the install. We'll be going to the rear of the truck here, and that's pretty simple. We're just taking off the U-bolts, adding a 5-inch block like I showed you in the kit, longer shocks, some other small deals that need to be done. So that's gonna do it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.